Today's episode is called The Crack Where Light Sleep Seeps In. Gosh, I keep saying sleep. It's where the crack where light seeps in, finding your authentic outlet. Now, every one of us, including every one of us with NPD or all of us narcissists, has a crack where the light seeps in. It's an authentic outlet where our true self peeks through. That's what I want to talk about today, and I promise you it'll be interesting. So make sure you subscribe, give some likes and thumbs up, drop some comments below. I love to interact with you guys in the comment section. Keep them coming. Some of the questions and comments we've been getting have been wonderful, and I love the conversation to continue beyond the video. All right, so authentic outlets. Okay, so here's one thing I've run into in my talking, and I'm in some forums with other narcissists, that there's a lot of hopelessness in a certain way because as we start to reveal to ourselves that we have this issue of narcissism that's different, our brains work differently, our lives work differently, it starts to make a lot of sense, but it can also inspire quite a bit of hopelessness, I've discovered with a lot of the narcissists out there. And that's because once you kind of reveal it all to yourself and really understand how big and all encompassing the narcissist patterns are, it becomes overwhelming and you start to feel like, I know I did, and I've certainly read and talked to a bunch of you guys out there who've had a similar experience where it feels like, how do I even find my real self in there? Do I even have a real self? Am I just this fake persona that I've been playing my whole life? And it's really challenging to go from that to some hope that there is a real me in there, and that real me can actually come forward, and I can have a good life because I'm actually being my true self and not just faking it all the time. And this is one of those things that I was sort of faced with at the beginning of my journey here too. Like, what is the real me? How do I find that? Do I have any experience with it? Particularly when I'm around other people, but just in general, because it's like, I have so many experiences of trying to fake it, trying to perform to be okay in the world, and under all that, where is the real me? And I was talking to my mentor about this one time, and she was mentioning to me that in her experience that everyone, including every narcissist, has some sort of outlet where their real self connects. They connect to their true self. And she told me a story about her father, who was a narcissist, and how he was a sort of the classic overt narcissist, always dominating conversations, wanting to be the center of attention, and so forth. And people had a hard time getting to know him because he was, a narcissist, and it's hard to get to know a real narcissist because it's all facade and generally in public. But one thing she told me about him was that he played guitar, and he had this unique ability to meet somebody, talk to them for 30 seconds or a minute, pick up his guitar, and on the spot create a song about them that really touched who they were. And it was like this place where his real essence could connect to another person's real essence in this sort of unusual way, which was through music. He wasn't good at doing that, talking to them and really seeing them in any other way, but writing the song or creating the song was a way he could do it. And that got me thinking, like, well, where does that show up in my life? Like, where do I feel like I'm actually connecting into sort of my higher self or my authentic self? And what occurred to me was that for me, ever since I was a teenager, where that has occurred is in writing poetry. And I've gone through phases of my life where I've written poetry and then not for many years, and then done it again and then not for many years. But I have this experience with writing poetry that's different than really any of my other daily experiences. And that's when I'm inspired to write something or struck with an idea for writing a poem. It's like I go to this other location in myself. It feels like this other room in my brain that I don't really enter any other time. And I don't even know exactly how to enter it any other time. But when I'm writing poetry, it's almost like a meditative state that I find myself in. And the words just come out of me. I don't spend a lot of time writing and rewriting. I just kind of spit it all out and then it's done. Sometimes I just talk into the recorder on my phone and then the poem's done. And but I've gotten a lot of feedback over whenever I share it, like how it's great and it really speaks to this, and whatever I'm describing, people can really feel like they're there, and so forth. And it in this conversation with my mentor, I was like, oh, that must be where it is with me. And so I started exploring this with some other narcissists in some of the online forums I'm in. And there's all kinds of ways people have this experience. Some it's like in creating food, or some people it's, they have this connection with their deeper self when they exercise, or it can be anything. It doesn't have to be like poetry or music. It doesn't have to be an artistic form, though that's a common place for it to occur. And I think, for me, when I think about why it works with poetry, and when I sort of generalize that out to sort of artistic expression, it's like a different avenue or a different realm than our daily interactions. And that likely gives me permission to sort of drop all of that protection and facade and just connect with my deeper self. Now, yes, narcissist, it helps that I get positive feedback from my poems. If I wrote poetry and people were like, oh, those are crap, then, maybe it wouldn't happen the same way. But I don't think that would occur, because it is me connecting with my authentic self. And what else is art than expressing who we are into the world? So, whether it's art, whether it's storytelling, even problem solving, some sort of creating, building something out of wood, whatever the case may be, I would encourage you to take some time and really consider, where does that show up in your life? And when you find it, really take some time considering why, what happens for me, not why, but what happens for me when I'm doing this thing, when I'm, whittling a stick into some cool thing, and I go into that sort of meditative state, or that state where I really feel like I'm connecting with my authentic self, and some of that facade can drop away. What's going on there? And I encourage you to spend more time there. Do that, because the more we can build that connection, it's like building a muscle, the more we have access to that in our everyday life. And that's what I've noticed too. The more I've spent time creating poetry, the easier time I have operating from my real purpose in interactions, rather than sort of the old narcissistic condition sets. So look for that in your life if you're the narcissist. Even if you're not, it's helpful for anybody, I suppose, to beef up the area where we're really connecting with our authentic self, particularly for narcissists, because we spend so much time away from our authentic self. And if you want to have a better life, if you want to improve your relationships, if you want to have more satisfaction and so forth, that's a big area to, that's a big muscle to build, that connection to our authentic self. All right. Make sure you subscribe, give some thumbs up, comment below. What works for you? Where do you find that connection to your authentic self? Is it in some sort of art? Is it in creating something? Is it in other activities? The possibilities are really endless. Each of us is so unique, and our ways of connecting can be equally unique. So let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, have some conversations, ask questions, etc., etc. All right, see you next time.